All right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight, ladies. I appreciate you coming to learn more about this masterclass and explore a little bit more on your knowledge on my permanent fat loss secrets. So just really excited to have all of you here, and I promise that you're going to walk away with some serious value today. But before we jump in, I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm going to share an action plan with you today, and it might work for you, but it probably won't. And the reason why is because your metabolism could be what's holding you back, why you've been like stuck where you've been for so long, why you've had that last 10 pounds that you just can't get off. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. So, before we jump into the teaching, first thing I want to know is like, first off, how many of you have ever tried a diet before? I want you to comment me in the comments below. Like if you've tried a diet, any kind of diet, trend, any shape, form of diet. Yeah, most of us, right? Like, yeah, most of us have. A lot of us have. Okay. So now I want to know like what is the worst diet that you've ever tried? Like the one that made you like question your life choices, right? Like maybe it was like a cabbage soup diet, or maybe it was keto, or maybe it was some ridiculous juice cleanse. I want to know like what was the absolute worst. Tell me like your horror stories about this. Fasting, 5-2, ooh, a cereal diet, Weight Watchers. What else? What else was really like negative experience? Or maybe it worked for a minute and then didn't when you stopped. Macro counting is definitely tough for sure. Anybody else have a like horror, awful diet that you tried? Okay, okay. Awesome. Well, I've been there too. Like I know I've tried some pretty crazy stuff in my time as far as like eating trends. So now I kind of am curious to know like with those trends or diets that you've tried before, what's the lowest amount of calories that you've eaten while dieting? You know, like basically to the point where you're like chewing air because you're so desperate to lose those pounds. Like what was your lowest amount of calories if you can remember that you dieted with? 500. Woo! 1200. 1100. Okay. 1600. 1600. 1200. Okay. We did some juice cleanses, some water fasting. Okay. So some pretty interesting stuff that we've all tried, right? 500 calories on a fasting day. Yeah, oof, I'm seeing some crazy low numbers here. Okay. Well, I feel your pain, and I've got one more question for you. So I want to know, like, how many of you have actually reached your goal and then managed to keep it off after that diet? If you have, type I did, or if you didn't, type nope. If you ended like right back where you started. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, well, I'm kind of assuming that's why you guys are here, right? Nope, never. Lots of nopes coming in. Okay. Did until I had my last kid. Gain it back every time. I've heard, hit perimenopause, hit menopause, and everything's different. Okay. All right. So it sounds like most everyone here has lost the weight, but gained it back or never really was able to like maintain those results with, any diet plan that you followed, right? And with that, I'm sure you've probably experienced the hunger pains that come with it, the cravings, the crazy mood swings, there all the other side effects while you were dieting, right? Yeah, it's exhausting. So just a thought, but we should probably not keep trying the same shit over and over, right? Expecting different results. Yeah, it's kind of like the definition of insanity, right? Like keep doing the same thing over and over, even though it's not working, works for a little while. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting some like nods. Yes, yes, for sure, for sure. Um, okay, so here's the thing. The reason you felt all of those different side effects is a lot because of like where your metabolism was at. It was working against you like the entire time, and wasn't supporting your goals in what you were trying to do with when it comes to weight loss. Okay, so I want to break down a little bit more of like, well, what exactly is metabolism? Okay, so your metabolism is the process by which your body converts what you eat and what you drink into energy. And it's a pretty complex biochemical process, and it combines the calories from the food and beverages with oxygen to release the energy in your body that it needs to function. Now, we aren't going to dive into like the science too much tonight. I don't want to necessarily bore you with the nitty gritty of that, but there's three main components of metabolism. So the first one you've probably heard of before, your BMR. So this is your basal metabolic rate. So this is the energy that your body needs at rest just to maintain basic functions like breathing, circulating your blood, producing new cells. Your BMR makes up about 60 to 75% of the calories that you burn on a daily basis. The second piece of this is your TEF. So this is your thermic effect of food. So this is the energy that your body uses to digest and absorb and metabolize the food that you're eating. And this accounts for about 10% of your daily calorie burn. And then we have physical activity. So this includes all movements from walking to exercising, and it makes up about 15 to 30% of your calorie burn. But here's the kicker. As we age, our metabolism naturally slows down. Wah, wah, right? So we start to lose muscle mass. Our hormone levels start to shift. And, if we've spent years dieting and depriving ourselves, our metabolism actually slows down to protect us. Our bodies are really, really smart, and they don't know a difference of like, it's okay to let this go, because all it wants to do is live and protect us and keep everything functioning optimally. It's super smart, and it's always just trying to survive, not shed fat, because it doesn't know any better, right? Does that make sense? Drop a yes in the chat if you have ever felt like your metabolism just isn't working like it used to. Anybody? Yes in the chat. Yep, yep. Hit menopause, everything's different. Yeah, lots of yeses. Okay. Cool. Well, let's talk about why maybe dieting just isn't working anymore. So you've probably heard somewhere along the line that the key to fat loss is to eat less and move more, right? We've all heard that. But here's the harsh truth. Traditional dieting is actually setting you up for failure. I know, again, wah, wah, it sucks. But let's break down why that is. So number one, dieting actually slows down your metabolism. So when you drastically cut calories down to that like 500 calories a day, or even 12, 15, 1600 calories a day, your body senses that it's not getting enough fuel. It almost triggers a bit of a, I don't like using the starvation mode, but that's similar to what it is signaling. It's where your metabolism is slowing down, and it wants to conserve its energy. Again, it's your body's way of protecting you. It's thinking, I don't know when I'm going to get my next meal, so I better hold on to any stores that I can. And so the more you restrict calories, the more efficient your body becomes at conserving energy, which means you burn fewer calories while you're at rest. And this is why you hit that plateau that we all dread, where the weight just won't budge, no matter what we do or how hard we try. Okay. I like to use the example of like cavemen, because like nowadays, like we have so much access to any and all food, right? Like food access is not an issue for us. But back in caveman days, like it was kind of feast or famine, right? Like you got the mammoth, you ate the whole thing, you gorged yourself, and then you didn't eat for a week, right? So our metabolisms, through that kind of evolution of how your body works, is your metabolism doesn't know any better, right? It doesn't know that it readily has available food. And so if we've taught it through dieting, similar to the feast and famine thing with the cavemen, it doesn't know any better. All it knows is, I don't know when Chelsea's going to feed me again, so I better just keep this protected, right? So have you ever felt like you were eating practically nothing and still not losing weight? Like your metabolism is just like, nah, I'm not falling for that again. Yeah. Comment me in the chat. Like, I just want to see who's felt like that. If you felt like you were like eating nothing and still just like not losing weight. Yeah. It sucks, right? Because you're like, God, how is this like, I just keep cutting calories and nothing's changing. Why? Why? It sucks. It's a defeating feeling, right? All right. Well, let's talk about the next thing. So let's talk about muscle loss and its impact on fat loss. So another thing that happens when you diet, I want you to remember first and foremost that when we lose weight, we're losing not only fat, but we're losing muscle and we're losing water. And I want you to remember that muscle is actually metabolically active. So it burns calories even when you're not doing anything. But when you're in a calorie deficit, your body doesn't just burn fat, it also starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy. So the less muscle that you have, the slower your metabolism becomes. So while you might be losing the weight on the scale, again, a lot of that could be muscle mass, which is not good for anything, especially as we get older, and it does make fat loss even harder in the long run. And interesting fact, for every pound of muscle that you lose, you're burning about 6 to 10 fewer calories a day just sitting there. Like if you didn't do anything, you just sat on your butt and did nothing, it's going to be about 6 to 10 fewer calories a day. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but over time it can really add up. And it significantly impacts your ability to lose fat and keep it off. Not to mention, just as we get older, having the lack of muscle on our body affects how our body moves, as well as our bone density and our setting ourselves up for a risk of injury as we get older, right? Because we're not strong enough to keep our body upright. We're more at risk for falls. We're more at risk for fractures because we're not creating that bone density, which that muscle also helps support. So kind of that snowball effect in the wrong direction, right? Definitely don't want that. Then we have kind of the hormonal havoc of dieting. Like as women, those of us that are going into perimenopause, menopause, like we already got hormone havoc happening. But when you're dieting, your body's hunger hormones, so there's ghrelin and there's leptin. And when we're dieting, they tend to get a little cray-cray, like little haywire. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. This is what's increased when we're dieting, and it makes you feel hungrier. Leptin signals the fullness, and it decreases usually when we're dieting. And this like hormonal imbalance is one of the reasons why you start craving everything in sight. Like even when you're trying to stick to that plan, like your body is like literally fighting against you, urging you to eat more to reach for that, like, the goodies that you really are telling yourself you can't have. That's one of the reasons. And then stress and cortisol play a huge part in this too. So dieting often goes hand in hand with increased stress, which boosts your cortisol levels, which, side note on this is why we get our stress under control before we put you into a calorie deficit, because it does cause more stress on the body and it's kind of fighting fire with fire. Okay. If our cortisol level is already high, we're not going to put you under more stress, because it's not only going to trigger more fat storage, especially around our belly as women, but it also makes you crave those sugary and fatty foods. So, even if you have like that willpower to resist those cravings initially, your body is just eventually going to wear you down, right? And it's just going to make it harder for you to stick with the plan. So, how many of you have ever experienced those late night cravings or felt like you just couldn't stop thinking about food while you were dieting? Hand raise. Yeah. Most of us, all of us. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's not a lack of willpower. It's likely your hormones that are going into overdrive, and a little bit of that mental capacity of when we tell ourselves you can't have something, that's usually when we want it more, right? Yeah, we don't do that around here, by the way. All right. Quick reminder, drink your water. If you haven't had a sip lately, have a sip. You know me. All right. All right. So one of the most damaging aspects of dieting can be that cycle of like losing and regaining the weight, right? We lose, we gain, we lose, we gain. A lot of us know it as yo-yo dieting, right? Well, there's a lot of studies out there that have shown that those repeated cycles of weight loss and weight gain can actually lead to more fat accumulation, especially around the middle, right? As women, and men too, but especially for us as women, just that's where our padding is. That's where our important internal organs are. And again, our body's trying to protect us, but it makes it harder to lose weight each time that we do it, right? And that cycle also negatively affects your metabolism, and it makes it less responsive to future fat loss efforts. So, did you know people who have gone through multiple rounds of dieting often end up with a slower metabolism than those who have never dieted at all? This is why every new diet seems harder and less effective than the last. Have we been there? Have we felt that? Like, God damn it, every time this gets harder. Why am I doing this again? All those thoughts that run through our head, right? Okay. Well, and finally, the biggest thing I think about this is that like dieting, it doesn't fix those underlying issues that contribute to the weight gain in the first place, right? It's a temporary solution that treats the symptoms, but not the root cause. So, for example, if your metabolism is already sluggish from years of dieting, hormonal imbalances, or lack of muscle mass, no amount of calorie restriction is going to fix that in a sustainable way. So we have to go deeper than just cutting calories, deeper than just getting ourselves in a calorie deficit, right? So how many of you feel like you've been stuck in this cycle? Trying diet after diet only to end up right back where you started, or maybe even like, dare we say, worse off? Drop a me in the chat. Let me know you're still with me, that I'm not boring you to death. All right. Yeah, it's exhausting, right? Like, and it does a number on like our mental capacity to want to try again, right? Or to want to put effort in, or to find the motivation to do something again, if every time we just end up right back where we started, right? Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's dive in a little bit more to really like the meat of this masterclass. So it's about how to reset your metabolism so that it starts working for you instead of against you. So I want to share with you 5 steps that are going to help reset your metabolism for sustainable fat loss. So if you want to write these down, this is what we need to do. So step 1, nourish your body, do not starve it. You have to eat enough. I know this sounds crazy, but when you're constantly under eating, your metabolism slows down to protect you. So aiming for more balanced meals with a good mix of protein, fats, and carbs. Yes, carbs, they're not your enemy. They're actually very vital for energy and metabolic health. And also eating adequate protein. is super essential because it's important. It has a higher thermic effect, so it takes more energy to digest. So it actually bumps up the metabolism because it has to work harder to digest protein. Plus, it's helping us build and maintain that lean muscle that we want, which again is crucial for keeping your metabolism high. Step 2 is strength training is non-negotiable. So if you're serious about resetting your metabolism, you have got to build muscle. And I'm not talking about like we need to get all bodybuilder muscled out. Like that takes a lot of freaking work, by the way, and you got to eat way more than your calories you guys were giving me in the chat there. Like we're talking like 25 to like 3,000 calories a day to build that kind of muscle and some extra stuff. Nobody has time for that, right? Like unless this is your, and nobody here I think is like in the muscle building, bodybuilding arena right now, right? We're not trying to do a show. We're just trying to get strong and live long, happy lives, right? Well, muscle is metabolically active, so it actually burns more calories at rest than fat does. And so the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, even when you're binge watching Netflix. So good deal, right? Like, and you know, strength training, it doesn't mean like we have to like go to the gym and lift super heavy every day. Again, we don't have to follow a bodybuilding or bikini body workout. It can be as simple as body weight exercises, resistance bands, dumbbells. It can be done at home. That's where my specialty lies, is creating programming for at-home workouts. The key is really just showing up consistently and challenging your body on the heavier side. Now, heavy to you might be 10-pound dumbbells that you're pressing overhead, and that's totally fine, but we don't have to go like balls to the wall, no pain, no gain type style, right? Like it's really about consistency and what you're going to do all the time, not just go to the gym 2 times a month and call it good, right? Like what can we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday every single week for 30 to 40 minutes? The third step is to manage your stress and to prioritize your sleep. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, and this is a hormone that signals your body to store fat, especially around the middle. And sleep is when your body repairs and rebuilds. So if you're not getting enough quality sleep, you're just sabotaging your fat loss efforts. So I always encourage my gals to really establish like a wind down routine, something that prepares you to get ready for bed. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just something that helps you to relax, prepare for sleep. You know, it could be reading a book. It could be taking a bath. It could be stretching. It could be practicing some deep breathing, but prepping yourself to go to sleep, shutting off social, shutting off the blue light, getting off all of the devices like an hour before time, and really allowing your body to rest and recover is probably the most underrated difference that really makes a difference in your weight loss journey. And then step number 4 is to move more throughout the day. So beyond your workouts, find more ways to be more active throughout the day. You know, taking the stairs, maybe walk while you're on a phone call, or if you can have like one of the walking treadmills under your desk while you're on a Zoom meeting, stretch between meetings, you know, just those little movements, they add up a lot. And they really help to keep your metabolism active. And bonus tip, hydration, like I mentioned earlier, drinking enough water is crucial. Dehydration really slows down the metabolism. It can make you feel hungry when you're actually just thirsty. Always a good thing to just aim for at least half your body weight in ounces of water each day. Cool. How are you feeling? Yeah? Good stuff? All right. Well, now you should have a pretty clear action plan to restart, like to start resetting your metabolism, right? Losing fat in a sustainable way. And the steps themselves are actually pretty simple, right? Like eat enough, build muscle, manage stress, sleep well, stay consistent. But here's the truth, right? Simple doesn't mean easy. Because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And we'd all have the results we want, right? The reality is life, it gets in the way. We got busy schedules, we have stress from work, family, a little voice in our head that tells us to just, you can skip the workout or just go ahead and reach for that bag of chips. It's okay, right? Let's be real. If it was easy following a checklist, you'd already have the results that you are seeking, right? That you're after. But this is why I mentioned in the beginning that this plan, it might work for you, but it probably won't. At least not without the right guidance, the right support, and accountability. Your metabolism is very unique, and changing the habits and the mindset that have been ingrained for years, it isn't something that happens overnight. And it's simple in theory, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of consistency, and it takes the willingness to stay committed even when things get tough. So, I could tell you all about my program and how I've helped hundreds of women reset their metabolism, but I'm not here to talk about that tonight. In fact, my program is actually pretty packed right now, and I'm not really accepting a lot of clients at the moment. So I'm not even going to talk about that. But what I do want to help you with is to take that next step. So here's something I usually reserve for my VIP clients, which I have a couple of them on here. But it's something that will help you understand where your metabolism stands, because everyone has a different metabolic score. And if you don't know where to start, or even where, what that even means, this is your chance to figure that out. All right. So all I want you to do is text me your biggest question about weight loss. And then I want to know, just text me your biggest question that you have about weight loss, and then mention that you want the assessment. I'm going to drop my number that I want you to text me in the chat. So I want to know your biggest question about weight loss, and tell me I want it. I want the assessment. And I'm going to personally follow up with you. I'm going to answer that question, and then I'm going to send you the metabolic quiz for free, no strings attached. This quiz is going to give you more insight into where your metabolism is right now and help you understand the next steps that you need to take in order to actually move that needle forward. So I just want to say thank you all so much for joining me today, and just remind you that you don't need to keep struggling with these restrictive diets that just aren't serving you, that are leaving you feeling stuck and just frustrated. You deserve to feel confident and strong and healthy, and it all starts with understanding your metabolism and taking those first steps that are right for you and your body. So before I sign off, I am really excited to announce that I have a 21-day permanent fat loss challenge coming up. We're going to kick this off on October 6th. So this challenge is completely free, and it's designed to help you jumpstart your metabolism and dial in all those strategies that we talked about today. So it's the perfect opportunity for you to take action, to get a taste of how powerful these methods can really be. You'll have coaching and accountability all the way through. That's just going to set you up for long-term success. So you're just not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a game changer. So if you're ready to kick things into high gear, keep an eye out for more details on that challenge. I'll be releasing all those details in the next few days. But if you want that assessment, text me that weight loss question, and then my number in the chat there, the 208-825-9173, and we're going to get you started on kind of some next steps for you, so that you're not sitting in this frustrated, stuck pattern of nothing is working. So, well, looking forward to seeing those text messages come in and answering all of your questions. Thanks, ladies. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for joining me.